Yo, what's good, y'all? This your boy Saucy 5K coming at you with another Invincible video with some content to refresh you all on what's to come up in the upcoming season. Personally, I don't know about y'all, but I can't wait to see what's in store. So how about we dive into a little piece or the beginning of the Viltrumite War to catch up on what's to come. Let's get it. Following the aftermath of Viltrum's attack on planet Telescria, Theta seems to believe that the Viltrumite War is over, since 80% of Viltrumite overlords have left the post, believing that they're gathering forces to take one last stand and decides to launch a counter-assault. Before leaving, Nolan has small talk with Mark about planet Telescria and how much he loves living there. Mark asks him if he'll ever come back to Earth, with Nolan saying he just doesn't know. Mark then tells Nolan in so many words that he's scared, but Omni-Man reminds him that this is war. Oliver comes in asking what Space Racer is before Thetis arrives, telling everyone to head to the hangar and prepare. They leave their ship and fly to Viltrum, since flying in a spaceship is nearly suicide. Upon heading there with armed forces, Mark gets a glimpse of the ring of dead bodies floating around planet Viltrum, with Thula waiting inside for a surprise attack on Thetis, but quickly gets hammered by Battle Beast. Thetis believes that Thula is done and tells everybody to get ready. Thrag then pulls up with like 50 Viltrumites wanting all smoke, but then Space Racer comes through blasting with 3 Ragnars, while Anissa attacks Omni-Man. On the flip side, Alan is over there flushing everybody and their mama, while Mark and Oliver hold their own against lower Viltrumites. Mark then goes for a punch against Thrag, not knowing what he's getting himself into. He quickly finds out with the backhand to the face, and then here comes Oliver being Oliver. He attempts to attack Thrag, but is quickly separated from his arm with one punch from Thrag, leaving Mark and Omni-Man baffled. Mark goes straight to Thrag and manages to land some good punches while telling him that he's the one who killed Conquest. This grabs the attention of the other Viltrumites, and Omni-Man hypes his boy up on his previous victory. Thetis takes notice and decides to make a move, telling Space Racer to come along. He tells everyone to follow, grabs Mark from his battle with Thrag, and starts to fly straight to the core of planet Viltrum. Nolan grabs Mark, making him fly faster, and tells him to get ready. They speed up and fly straight through the planet's core, leaving a huge explosion, blowing away the entire battlefield. Afterwards, Thetis decides to hold his nuts and rub it in Thrag's face that he just blew up the planet that gave birth to him, mind you, and leaves Thrag in tears. Thrag exchanges words with Thetis and reminds him of the coward and traitor that he really is before flying at top speed and rips his head completely from his body. He holds the head in front of Alan and Nolan to see before crushing it right in front of their faces. Following the explosion, Mark grabs Oliver in tears, thinking that it's over, while Nolan and Alan prepare to face Thrag's wrath. They have no idea what's about to happen. Thrag charges straight past Omni-Man and starts whooping Mark's ass, but surprisingly Mark doesn't back down and gives him a kick to his stomach. Mark then throws a left straight directly to Thrag's forehead, but it has no effect. Thrag grabs Mark's neck and starts giving him a belt-to-ass whooping about his heritage, and then gives him a double head punch on both ears, which looks very painful. Nolan steps in with a punch, telling Thrag that he's lost, but Thrag quickly gets Nolan's mind right with a gut punch and starts getting on his top for working with Thetis in the first place. Thrag tells Nolan about how Thetis was behind the Scourge virus, in which Nolan defends Thetis' lame ass, saying that their people deserve extinction. But Thrag gives Nolan a well-deserved headbutt and chokes him while Mark still tries to shake back from that double head punch. Battle Beast jumps in to help Nolan, but is quickly called a nuisance and thrown aside. While Alan gets his ass whooped, Battle Beast's body comes flying through it, about 10 Viltrumites giving him a hand that he needs, but quickly is met with a punch from Anissa. But then Space Racer fires a shot directly through a Viltrumite's head, grabs Alan, and starts to flee, reminding him that this was never supposed to be a full-on assault and that they need to get out of there or they'll die. They swing by and grab Tech Jacket. While Alan asks about Nolan and Mark, Space Racer says they'll have to fend for themselves at this point, and while the other Viltrumites look to see where they flew off to, Thrag is waiting to whoop Mark and Nolan's ass some more. Mark asks how can they win, and Nolan responds that they can't, because Thrag was trained from birth to be the strongest Viltrumite. They can't just beat them on their own. Thrag speeds up and grabs them both by the neck while they prepare for the absolute worst. Omni-Man kicks Thrag's arm and tells Mark to try and escape. Thrag sees Mark take off and with blistering speed catches him by his hair, smashes his face in. Thrag grabs Mark by the neck and gets ready to deliver the final blow. Nolan speeds up from the distance and attempts to protect Mark and gets impaled right in front of Mark. Nolan screams in agony and gets tossed aside while being called weak. He grabs Mark by the skull and is about to crush his head, but is asked about his hesitation to do so. Thrag admits that he'll spare them and they need to keep all Viltrumites alive. General Craig doesn't agree and attempts to attack Mark and Nolan before being easily stopped by Thrag. He assures Craig that they need them for survival. Then they fly off and leave Mark and Nolan floating in space. As their bodies continue to float with these horrible fatal wounds, the Coalition of Worlds find them and question as to how they survived. They get Mark and Omni-Man on board and head straight to planet Telescria. Mark finally wakes up on planet Telescria, with Alan standing above him, concerned but happy to see him alive. Mark asks Alan what he's wearing. Alan replies that he's wearing a cast, but that's not what Mark meant. Alan tells Mark that he's been out cold for 2 weeks, and during that time he's become the new leader of the Coalition of Worlds. Mark congratulates him and asks him where Nolan is. He informs Mark that Nolan woke up before him and that they are currently on planet Telescria. They enter a room and find Nolan waiting for Oliver to heal in some type of healing chamber. Mark asks Nolan how did Oliver survive, and Nolan tells him that a Viltrumite's brain can survive without oxygen for an extended period of time, and that Oliver received a prosthetic arm too. They're very happy to see Oliver alive. Tech Jacket enters the room with a status report about the remaining Viltrumites, informing them of their disappearance since they haven't attacked anything since their last battle. Alan says they've searched the galaxy looking for them but have found nothing, and that it only makes sense for them to lay low and regroup, especially since they know the status of Nolan and Mark. Which brings Mark to a certain realization that they were left alive for a reason, and that they destroyed Viltrum, and it only makes sense for them to retaliate by destroying Earth. And that's going to conclude this video, man. And I gotta say, with the Viltrumite War approaching in Season 4, it's literally got me excited to see what the animated show will do in comparison to the comic. But nonetheless, if you're hyped, stoked, and excited about the Invincible Season 4 coming, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. This your boy Saucy5K, and I'm out.